Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and this is the week's TV news, and what a big week it is. There's actually quite a lot to talk about. Some of which I would legitimately call bombshells.
I think they're just getting it all in before the Thanksgiving.
Maybe next week we will even have a news video because there'll be nothing to talk about. It's possible. We'll see. If there is stuff to talk about, we'll have one, but a lot of stuff, so let's just kind of get into it. First things first, probably the biggest sort of thing of the week, the thing that caught me by surprise, is Disney and ABC announced that Inhumans is no longer going to be a movie. Marvel's Marvel's the Inhumans. See, it was better without the is messing me up.
Yeah, I agree.
Marvel's The Inhumans is going to be an ABC TV show now instead. And it's going to start in fall 2017. But here's where it gets even weirder. The first two episodes are going to air, or not air's not the right word, they're going to premiere in IMAX theatres exclusively. And they're going to be filmed entirely in IMAX cameras. In fact, it even says the entire show is going to be filmed in IMAX cameras. I am speculating that only really means the first two, because they're the ones that are actually going to be in the IMAX.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of reading between the lines and assuming it's not the whole show. Could be wrong.
That would be expensive.
It would be expensive. That said, IMAX are actually paying for some of this.
Okay.
It's a co-production, so we could end up having here one of the best-looking network TV shows we've ever had.
Does this mean we have to go to the cinema to watch the first two episodes of a new TV show?
Yes. Not only the cinema, I'm going to have to traipse further than normal to get to an IMAX.
Balls, this is expensive.
Yeah, this is a pain in the neck. In that sense. However, I do like it from a spectacle point of view.
I agree, but every other time they've aired things in the cinema, I think they did it with Game of Thrones, they did it with Doctor Who. How'd it have both?
Well, no, they are still airing it on ABC, but it'll be like 2 months later. It'll be, in the fall.
Yeah.
The premiere for the first two is going to be in the summer. So
Right, okay.
So unless we want to be 3 months behind on the review of the first two episodes, we're going to have to.
Well, I'm glad they just built an IMAX near me.
We're also going to have to review them twice, possibly. Yeah, this is where it gets even more interesting. The broadcast version that ABC is going to show, the first two episodes, will feature extra content that's not in the IMAX version.
Why? Why would you be such dicks and make me watch it twice? Do you know what's going to be? This extra content is... They did this for Star Wars Rebels, right?
Yeah.
Where they went... they aired the episode, 22-minute episode, first episode, and then 3 weeks later, before the second episode started, because they did an early premiere as well. They went, by the way, guys, watch it on this channel exclusively for an extra footage, and it ended up being like an 8-second scene at the end. And this is what this is going to be. I'm going to have to watch 80 minutes of TV again for like 12 seconds or some shit.
To be fair,
that.
it might be really good 80 minutes of TV.
It might be, but that's not the point.
Alright. Well, no, when I'm joking about reviewing it again, I don't think we'll actually review the same two episodes again, but we'll definitely watch the extended versions.
Well, that's the thing. You're going to have to watch it, because what if they reference that at some point?
Well, exactly, but I'm saying there won't be specific reviews for that necessarily. It'll just be, when we do episode 3, it'll be like, okay, first of all, here's the extra stuff from 1 and 2 that we, get added in for the later version.
I know, the more I hear about this, the less I like it.
I think what's even more interesting about this, though, is what it means for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I feel like this is replacing it.
It does feel like a bit of a death knell, doesn't it?
But I'm not necessarily mad about that. As long as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets, I think there will be a 1-season overlap. I think S.H.I.E.L.D. will get, a final 5th season of, 13 episodes to wrap up.
Well, they'll want to hit the 100, won't they?
For syndication, I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's weird how many shows I like seem to have to do this, where they scrape to 4 seasons, and it's like, oh, well, you have to give us a 5th one so we can hit that 100.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're close enough now, you might as well.
Yeah, and they make a lot more money off of it if it gets to syndication, so there's incentive for them to do so.
Yeah.
And maybe, they can use that last 13 episodes to give us a goodbye to most of the characters, but spin-offs, Sky into Inhumans.
I will say, as much as I've just been negative there, I think this is a much better fit for it than a movie, because...
It is, yeah.
Well, when they first announced the movie, that was fine. But then they started setting it up in S.H.I.E.L.D., and 90% of the people who watch the Marvel movies probably don't watch this show. So it feels weird to set up so much of their backstory and everything in this TV show that not that many
Yeah.
people comparatively will watch.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning that it will be the main Inhuman, like, royal family. You know, it'll be Black Bolt, Medusa, that whole crowd.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be the main Inhuman characters. I assume Skye, in some capacity, will also transfer over, maybe. Even if it's not like a regular role. I mean, it might just be like a guest appearances here or there, but I imagine she will appear.
Yeah.
But it is nice that they have set up so much of the backstory of this in S.H.I.E.L.D. already. And this will be like the new, you know, flagship going forward.
It does feel like a natural evolution of where Shield's headed anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, so that's cool. All I want now, though, from S.H.I.E.L.D. is I want a final, 13 episodes, season 5, so we can give a proper goodbye to, Fitz and Simmons and Mac and, the whole crew.
Yeah.
Get Hunter and Bobby back as well while we're at it.
Might as well.
Yeah. Because I missed them. And they didn't get their own spin-off, so... but yeah, this was surprising. This just kind of came out, like, out of nowhere.
There was no rumblings for this whatsoever.
No, I mean, there was some rumours a while ago that Marvel might have axed the movie. And they were insistent, like Feige was insistent, no, it's not been axed. But clearly they've had talks with the TV side of things and they've came to this agreement. So no more Inhumans movie, we get this instead. Which does beg the question, is Vin Diesel still going to be playing Black Bolt?
I was just thinking that, actually. I was like, that seems like a big ask.
Probably not. But then, well, nah, probably not.
No, because he has to be present for a lot of it.
It's the opposite of Groot. Whereas with Groot, he just has to show up and do some voice work. But, I mean, I know he doesn't. I know he actually goes in the stilts and actually does a lot of the mocap.
Yeah.
But they could get away with not doing that. They could have someone else do that and just have him do the voice.
Yeah.
Which would be the easiest payday in like movie history, probably.
Probably. That said, he did do it in like 9 languages.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did a bunch of different languages for it.
Well, so he actually did the French version, the German version.
Yeah, I know for a fact he did, I think, Spanish and Italian for sure. I'm pretty sure of those ones.
Well, Spanish makes more sense because I think he's got Spanish blood in him.
Yeah, I just mean he did like a whole bunch of them. Because obviously it was so easy for him.
Yeah, he used to have to learn one sentence. It's not
exactly.
And Groot stays the same, so it's just 2 words
really.
Yeah, it's I am, and however many words. So, but no, yeah, that was the big news early on this week. Out of nowhere, I'm excited to know that we will have like a proper MCU show continuing after S.H.I.E.L.D. though that will. Assuming if it bombs, it bombs. But given that IMAX are co-funding it and all that, I feel like
that and the fact that I can't see it doing worse than S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, certainly. And also, I mean, given that IMAX are co-funding it, it really does feel like it might be the most impressive-looking network superhero show, just because it seems to have more money from IMAX. Plus, if it's actually been filmed in IMAX cameras, then it has to look pretty good, just on a
technical level.
Yeah, on a base, not even the effects. I'm just talking about base technical visuals. So.
I mean, it's just worth knowing if they're funding a lot of it, ABC aren't putting as much of their own money at risk.
So they maybe aren't caring if there's as many.
So it's not as much of a risk for them.
I'd wonder if they would, like, say it gets a season 2, right? Say it's relative success, gets a season 2, or a big success, but I'm assuming relative success. Do they do the same thing like for season 2 where IMAX, because they're still funding it maybe? Do they like, okay, big summer event where you get 2 hours of it in the IMAX before season 2 hits? And then you get the broadcast version as it continues on.
They could well do.
I suppose it depends how successful it is this year or this coming summer.
It depends how many people go to the cinema and watch it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's
I do hope that when they put this in the cinemas, it's not one of those bollocks one-time showing things.
Oh god, that would be so annoying. That would basically kill our chances of reviewing it, probably.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Again, it's not quite the same. But whenever we've had these cinema releases, like simultaneous things, Game of Thrones, Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's always been like 1 or 2 showings of it. Never.
That's it. Yeah.
No, never. It's here for like 4 weeks of like constant showings.
Yeah, and if schedules don't allow for us to go that one day.
Yeah, and especially since if it's during the summer and all the big summer movies are trying to like hog IMAX time, because typically IMAXs don't have a lot of IMAX screens. More often
they
than not.
Have 1, maybe 2 at a push.
So, I don't know. It's all gloom and doom. So, worst case scenario, we don't get to review it until the broadcast version, but that would suck. So, but hopefully we can. I don't know why we even talk about this now. It's so early to even discuss getting to go see it, but
But it did strike me as a concern then, because
Yeah.
that's what it's been in the past. But this is a little bit different, so maybe IMAX will be like, "Nah, we want to make the most of this."
Yeah, because IMAX are actually paying for it. So
They'll want to recoup their funds immediately.
So anyway, it's interesting news. It's an exciting announcement for the MCU. It's, not to mention all the this hasn't been in the news because it's nothing but rumors. But talk of like a Netflix Ghost Rider series also spinning out of Agents of Shield, which I think would be a pretty decent fit, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
So no, a lot of interesting things going on with Marvel and the TV side of things right now. So, but anyway, that was the first big thing we needed to talk about. Next thing.
Please don't be as big.
Westworld has been renewed for season 2 by HBO.
Yeah, no surprise.
No surprise, but it's nice to hear.
It is, but I wasn't worried.
Do you know what's not as nice to hear?
No.
It might not air until early 2018.
Damn it! They did this to like we just had this with Fargo. We get it with Game of Thrones, and now this. What is going on?
Now, see, this is the thing. Obviously, I'm disappointed that I want it around the same time next year. Of course I do, because it's fantastic, and I want more of it. But I will say this. Westworld, in terms of production value, is so high compared to other TV that I kind of... Because that's what they said. They said the elaborate production is what's going to take extra time.
That's why, presumably, why it kept getting delayed, because this was due last year, wasn't it, originally?
I don't know if it was ever due air last year, but it was certainly due earlier this year at one point.
Right, yeah, like very...
Yeah.
Like it was
spring, yeah.
At the latest, yeah.
Because I remember when we were speculating what's going to be on HBO after Game of Thrones, we were thinking, it might be Westworld over the summer, but it ended up being the night of.
But I even remember, like, way back, like, last year, like, thinking, oh, maybe it'll come up in, like, the January, February slot before Game of Thrones.
So it could just be that Westworld will be a sort of 18-month kind of show where it's every year and a half rather than every year.
That's the thing. Masterpieces take time.
They do. So, you know what? If this is what's going to ensure quality, by all means, take the time. It's hard not to be a little disappointed, just because I want it. But
yep.
You know what? If you now that you've made a season, maybe that's why it got delayed, because they didn't know how long it would take. Whereas now they've made a season, they've went through it once, they've experienced it. They can ballpark it a lot better than they could before. So.
And there's presumably less to do on a second season because you've got so many of your sets already. All that you've got core sets. Basic production stuff is already done.
I think probably the bigger things that delays it now would be the fact that there's so much cast, so they have to work out all those schedules, and maybe they can only shoot with certain cast members for certain periods, and
especially when they are big names and very busy people.
And then the other thing would be just the core, that this show has aerial shots, it has elaborate action sequences, it has all these things that make it feel more like a movie, but that takes more time. That's why movies take so long to shoot compared to an episode of TV, where an episode of The Flash takes like a week and a half to shoot.
Yeah.
So, not to badmouth The Flash per se, but that's just how network TV works. So this having this bigger budget, this bigger scale, takes time. So
yeah, some shows like Flash look great in what they do with their time.
Yeah.
But you're never going to hit the same level as if you've got this much time.
This is why soap operas look like crap, because they do 5 episodes a week.
Exactly.
They look like garbage in a film-making level because they just have to rush out all the scenes, They're doing like an episode a day. It's insane.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can't even blame the people making them on
Oh no. Even the writing, I think soap operas, the reason why I don't like soap operas is because it's just horribly written, typically, compared to what I like to watch. But I don't necessarily think the writers of them are bad. It's just, if I had to churn out 5 episodes of something a week, they'd probably be terrible as well.
But even if you think they have a team writers and they're all rotating through, they probably still have to write an entire episode a week.
I mean, who's a great movie writer right now? Or a great TV writer? Pick one.
Yeah.
Any of them. Nolan. Go back in time. Kubrick, whoever, Kubrick didn't write his movies, I don't think, but, pick any good movie writer, any good TV writer. If you tell them they have to do 5 episodes a week, even as a writer's team of a TV show, it's going to suck.
Yeah, that's just a big ask that's just too hard.
So, yeah, we've been on a long time explaining why Westworld takes longer to make, but
this is in true to what this news is.
Yes, it is, so... We will move on
Okay.
to some bad news, unfortunately.
Oh, God damn it. I'm braced. I'm braced. Go on.
The Great Indoors
Do
has...
not dare tell me it's got renewed.
Well, not that far yet. It's got extra episodes. It's had its episode order extended by 6 to 19, as has Man with a Plan, which is the Matt LeBlanc comedy that's also on CBS. They've both been extended to 19 episodes. This baffles me.
I hate people.
Who in their right mind watched episode 1 of The Great Indoors and thought, you know what? I'm going to watch episode 2.
I can answer that question.
Th-
A legitimate answer.
Two things here before you give your word. Language.
No, it is
and
not.
Second,
No, actually.
and secondly, let's try not insult people who might enjoy our news discussion, who happen to have a guilty pleasure of The Great Indoors. So.
I will say first, that was not at all what I was going to say, although it is kind of in the back of my mind. But I was filtering. I can do that. No,
Okay.
The actual answer is the same people who still watch Big Bang Theory.
That's a good answer. Good answer. The people who watch 2.5 Men till the end. Yes.
Yeah, these people.
Yeah.
Those are the people. Those are the that are still watching this.
Fill in your swear word there, people. Fill in your swear word.
It's as bad as you can think.
That said, though, if you're a reasonable human being who have a guilty pleasure, that's okay too. I have guilty pleasures as well.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
You should see... Shut your face. Shut your face. Although my guilty pleasures are more movie related than they are TV related. But, no, so that's the bad news from CBS. Alright, here's a big bunch of news from the CW. The CW have announced their mid-season schedule, and a lot of it does directly affect the kind of shows that we review, the shows that we will be trying to review, or we'll be trying the first episode, and they may...
They just like messing with our schedule, don't they?
So here we go. First things first, both No Tomorrow and Frequency are not getting extra episodes. They are staying to their 13-episode seasons. This is notable for a couple of reasons. Well, one, it means that they're not necessarily cancelled. They might come back next year for another 13-episode season. That's something that's happened a couple of times in other networks, even on this network with iZombie. It does happen now. It's not...
Yeah, it's not an instant death knell these days.
Scream Queens was the same. 13-episode season, no extras, but back for season 2. So it could happen. The other reason why this is notable, though, is this is the first time in the CW's, I believe their entire history, ever since they formed like 10, 11 years ago, where none of their new shows got extra episodes. So they had a streak going, and it's ended.
To be fair, it's a pretty impressive streak as it is.
It's a pretty good streak. In fact, not only that, it was Deadline I was reading this on. I think there's only 4 or 5 shows before these two in their entire history of like new shows that didn't get extra episodes, that didn't get a full season. It's actually a really strong, record.
I don't know if it's just that they put... I don't think that all these shows are necessarily good, or if they have enough confidence in it that they go, do you know what, it's hitting its audience. Let's give it another shot.
I think there's 2 factors. I think one is that they have less time slots, so there's less of them to lose. But I also think they're just good at getting the right programming for their audience.
They are. It's hard to argue that.
Obviously there's half of their content that we don't watch, but there's clearly an audience that watches all of that. I feel like if you like The 100, you probably like Supernatural, you probably like Vampire Diaries, like they all kind of, not, and I know a lot of people like Supernatural as well, but it kind of, you can see why a fan of those other shows would watch that too. Like they all kind of...
There is almost like 2 halves of their network, isn't it?
It's superheroes and sort of... Supernatural, sort of, that appeals more to, I'd say, maybe teenage girls. Not that you don't have to be a teenage girl to watch it, but that's definitely the target kind of demographic.
Yeah.
So, so that's the first point on this mid-season thingy. Next up, Legends of Tomorrow is moving after Christmas. Now, it's funny, had Connor not noticed this before I went and read this myself, I would have been very confused, because I read this particular news item from Variety, and I want to put Variety slightly under the bus, because the paragraph...
Go on, stab them.
The paragraph that told me about Legends of Tomorrow moving had 2 mistakes in it. The first mistake was it said it was moving to the Monday night slot currently occupied by No Tomorrow, which in and of itself doesn't make sense because No Tomorrow's on Tuesday night.
That's what I was just thinking.
And then it said that this will happen on the 26th of January. I checked that date. That's a Thursday.
See, I also saw the 26th. I don't think I read the Variety. I think I read an EW article.
Oh, so that's just a mistake that's
a widespread mistake, that one then. But the other one, no, that's Variety.
Yeah. So the actual date is January 24th, which is the Tuesday. So they got the week right. It was a Tuesday. So now Legends will air after Flash on a Tuesday, starting that week in January.
I think they're really banking on that being a good lead-in, because I think Legends is maybe a little bit underwhelming for them.
It's the lowest of the four, I think.
So I think they're hoping having Flash as a lead-in will pay off and just give it a bit of a boost.
I think it'll help. I think
pay it off at the end of this crossover, and then that.
Yeah. That said, Legends for CW standards is still pretty decent. I think it's in perfect safety of coming back. I don't think.
I don't mean that. I think they mean they'll look at these other 3 shows and go, that could be better.
Honestly, though, I don't think it's to do with Legends. I don't think the move is because the move's not because of Legends. The move is because of what's taking its place.
I agree.
Because what's also happening is that the reason why this move is happening at all is that Riverdale is starting on Thursday, the 26th of January, and that's taking the 9 p.m. slot that week, which is not Legends slot. Legends was on at 8 p.m. But Supernatural is moving to 8 p.m. and is going to be the lead-in.
Oh, okay. See, I heard this news and didn't hear that part, and I thought, I get why they're pairing them. Riverdale, Supernatural, I can see the logical pairing, but weird to not use Supernatural as the lead-in, because you want to. That's not how you get your audience at Riverdale.
But you just didn't read properly because it is a lead-in.
Well, that wasn't in what I read, apparently.
Sure. So on Thursdays, Supernatural will be on, and then it'll go to Riverdale. Of course, Riverdale is something that we will be trying and possibly reviewing week to week, assuming it's not terrible. Which is there's a chance it will be, there's a chance it won't be. We'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I mean, it makes sense to them to put this there, though. Yeah. Like, out of everything else they've got in their slot.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. It's annoying because our Tuesday nights are piling up.
Hellish is the word.
Yeah, we have so many shows that we cover on a Tuesday night. It's just unreal.
I feel like every time I hear a new show has got an air date, it's like it's a bloody Tuesday again.
No, my first thought is just, please don't be Tuesday. Please don't be Tuesday.
and then like maybe 8 times out of 10, it's like it's a Tuesday.
So there are things that don't relate to us specifically. But I want to mention them because I do want to point out that the whole thing with CW not bringing back, No Tomorrow and Frequency for more episodes, is I feel like even though those two were kind of soft on the ratings, I think it's more to do with the fact that they just have too many shows coming back. Because the 100 is coming back for a half season, which it was, renewed for, and Frequency slot on the Wednesday. Rain is coming in to take over the Vampire Diaries slot, which again is getting a 13-episode season. And then The Originals, which is a new show, but is a mid-season show, is starting in March, and that's taking the other slot in the Friday. So it just feels like they've got a lot of 13-episode shows that they're alternating with.
I mean, even to go on that line, Legends just got its episode extension a couple of weeks ago, but it only went up to 17 because it's getting followed by iZombie.
Which I was just getting to. iZombie's 13-episode season 3 is starting on April 4th, which is actually later than I thought. But of course, this is going to be a week after the Legends finale, which is at the end of March. So iZombie's starting on April 4th with a double episode, which will also take up Flash's slot that week. And then after that, it'll just be after Flash, like it has always been.
We're never getting a break on a Tuesday again.
Tuesday nights are just never going to be quiet for us, no. So that's all the CW mid-season schedule stuff. So the main points here for us to take away is that Riverdale will be on Thursday, Legend of Tomorrow's moving to a Tuesday, and iZombie's back in April. That's the main bullet points, I think, that are relative to what we cover. But
yeah,
I think all that was actually kind of interesting just to see how they're putting all
I think, like you say, it's not that it's necessarily that it applies to us, but it's interesting to see the amount of effort they're having to go through to juggle their slate. They either need to cancel some things at the end of this season, or they have to expand how much they show.
Yeah, they need to start doing stuff at 10 p.m. because they don't have any 10 p.m. time slots right now. Either they'll do that, or they'll just accept that they have a lot of 13-episode thereabouts shows and they can alternate.
Yeah, that's possible. But I mean, I feel like they've got a couple of new shows coming next year as well, though, right?
They do. Or Joe, what they could do? I would actually almost prefer them to do this over putting stuff at 10 p.m. is
Drop
just
everything to 13.
no. A third option, not the two that I already gave you. Have another block in the summer, like and do so they've always got a full slate of shows on. Like
Yeah.
over the summer, have your other 5 or 6 13 episode shows that you want to put on.
Yeah, like throw some of these mid-season ones. Just throw them as
Yeah.
summer shows.
Yeah, I think that'd be a way of doing it.
I
Even
agree.
even if it's not 10 full shows like it is during the fall,
Have
spring
like 3 or
season.
4 even.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
because summer's always kind of deprived for content, and
And we welcome it.
we do welcome it. So there you go. That's all the CW stuff. Speaking of things been on a Tuesday, the Tom Hardy show that's coming from FX called Taboo is going to premiere on January 10th, and you guessed it, that's a Tuesday.
Why do they do this to us?
I don't know.
What is it? I really want to know. What is it about Tuesdays that appeals to networks
I-
so much? There must be a reason.
I really don't know, but this is going to be an 8-episode series, and we may have already had a description, but I'm going to read you the description for the show anyway, because obviously this is something we're going to try. It's a big FX show, Tom Hardy, why wouldn't we? Set in 1814, it follows James Keziah Delaney, played by Hardy, as he returns to his hometown of London from Africa after a voyage so long he's been presumed dead. Delaney is set to inherit his father's shipping empire, which sounds like a boon until all of Delaney's enemies begins scuttling out of the woodwork, and he finds himself having to navigate an increasingly fraught, complex world in order to save his own skin.
Sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm not super big on crime stuff necessarily, but you've got Tom Hardy, if you've got good direction and stuff like that, I can.
And FX.
FX have been doing a really impressive job recently, so
Yeah, it's enough for me to go, you know what? I'm down.
yeah, certainly we'll be trying it if nothing else.
Oh,
So sticking with FX though, they had another bit of news this week. They have found a showrunner for Why the Last Man, which is they're developing.
that's still in existence.
Apparently so. I almost believe this might actually happen now. So yeah, Why the Last Man, if you don't know, is a comic book from Brian K. Vaughan, it's kind of like a post-apocalypse kind of thing, where all of the men die. Every male of every species dies off, and we don't know why. It just happens one day, except one, a man named Yorick. Hence the title of the show, Why the Last Man. And I say Why the Last Man, it's like the letter Y, just in case you're not familiar with it.
As in the chromosome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but his name also starts with a Y, so it's one of those double meaning things. And his monkey, who's also a male. Those two survive, and the rest of the world is just females, and it's kind of a road trip story where they're trying to transport him to see if they can figure out how to solve this issue. Can he repopulate the human race on his own? Sounds like a dream job for some men, I don't know. But that's the premise of the show. It's a very good comic series. I've read the whole thing. And it is well worth reading.
I'm not a massive fan of Brian K. Vaughan personally, but I mean, it's one of those things where I know the reputation. I feel like it could probably be adapted to TV very well, but I have no interest in actually reading it myself at the same time.
Oh, I love the book, but I will say that TV is a much better fit. When I heard they were going to do a movie, I did not understand how it was going to translate.
Yeah, because it's like 60 issues of a very serialized story, right? There's no clear cut from what I understand.
No, 60 issues, serialized. It begs for like a 5 or 6 season, like 10 episodes each show. That's what it begs for. So it's in the right place now, I think. FX should do a good job with this. But yeah, Michael Green, who is currently running or co-running American Gods with Neil Gaiman, is going to be the one showrunning this. And Brian K. Vaughan is involved as well. Bring it to the screen.
Co-running with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Isn't Fuller doing American Gods?
He's involved, but he's not listed here. It just says Michael Green, who is currently running American Gods alongside Neil Gaiman.
Weird. I could have sworn Fuller was doing American Gods, and that's why he had to do the
he's
break from
involved.
Star Trek.
He's definitely involved.
I thought he was showrunner there. That's why I thought he was taking the break from Star Trek.
This is wording from Deadline, so if this is off in any way, blame them. But no.
All right.
But no. But Michael Green is going to be the showrunner of Why the Last Man. Vaughn and Green will co-write the script for. I assume they mean the pilot. It doesn't actually specify, but I assume they mean.
Yeah, I'd assume so. Yeah.
the pilot. So it's good that Vaughn's on board, and Vaughn, of course, has actually written TV shows before. Like, he's not just done comic books; he actually knows how to. He's familiar with writing TV scripts, is what I'm saying. So, no. So that's cool. So let's move on to all the new shows we have to talk about.
Jesus, we're only just at that.
Yeah, we're only just getting to that. But hey, this first one, we can play our game. It's untitled.
Oh, okay. Before we actually get into the shows, I'm sad there's still no Mermaid War talk. I want my update.
I'm sorry, Connor, but it's not here.
I hope that when you do this news, you actively go out of your way to check every week.
Oh, aye. Anyway, let's move on to some new shows. So this is Andrew Garland, the creator of Married, is bringing a new comedy to NBC. It is untitled currently, and it focuses on a happily married man whose level-headed wife helps him manage some of his more complicated female relationships in his life. Very generic. That said, I do have a title prepared.
Go on.
Feminine Touch.
Oh, that's not bad.
Best I could do.
Yeah.
Best I could do. 'Cause it does sound very generic otherwise. It's his wife helping him with his other female relationships, so...
Yeah.
I assume that means he works with a lot of women or something like that. And that's, like...
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Unless they just have a very open relationship and she gives him dating advice. I don't know.
Who knows?
It'd be a very liberal show. Sure, sounds okay. Like, nothing to go on.
I have no interest in it, but that doesn't mean I dislike it.
Yeah, that's could be the best comedy ever when it starts, for all we know, but it's just nothing to go on yet.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to another comedy. Now this isn't untitled. This has a working title, so this doesn't quite count for the game.
Oh man, see, they've played the game for us at this point.
They have. This is Fox. They have given a script plus penalty commitment to Missing American Women, which is a comedy from a New Girl, some of the New Girl creators, and it's female centric. It's about a sheltered girl who's never worked a day in her life. When she goes missing after a shipwreck, she embraces the opportunity to start her life over, working at a remote resort with a crew of slackers and weirdos.
This sounds way more fun than the last one.
It does. Do you know the fact is, I think the shipwreck thing's a little bit much, but the actual end result, where she's at a holiday resort with a bunch of weirdos, I like that part, which is going to be the main show. That'll be what it is, week to week. So,
that sounds like a great setup.
Yeah. So I'm cool. I actually kind of like the sound of this one. And New Girl has its ups and downs, but it's not bad. It has its good moments. So it could be good. So yeah, that's Missing American Women.
I don't like that title though.
Well,
better change that.
That's probably why it says working title, because they know it sucks. So they're going to...
Yeah, they're like... They should have just gone with untitled. Go, look, we don't want to put this title public.
Sticking with comedies, Fox has put something in development. It's called Positively Speaking. It is described as a hybrid comedy. I'm not quite sure what that means. I guess it's maybe a bit more dramatic than your typical sitcom.
I'd assume so, yeah.
Positively Speaking centres on an up-and-coming motivational speaker who tries to become the next king of self-help.
See, that's a good title. I like that one.
It's alright. Yeah.
Aye. It's another one where I kind of like the idea there. Like, that's a pretty decent start. Could be awful, but it's a good start.
Yeah. Next up then, that's all the comedies. We're getting on to the meat now.
The real stuff now, yeah.
The real stuff now. So we had some casting news for a new sci-fi show that's coming from Netflix. I vaguely remember hearing the name. I don't know if we talked about it in depth in terms of plot. So I've got the plot description as well here. So I'm treating this like a new show announcement, even though it's not really. But so Kristen Lemon, who was on The Killing with Joel Kinnaman, who also is in this. He's the main character. Are going to star alongside James Purefoy in Altered Carbon, which is coming from Netflix. And this is what it's about. It's based on a novel. It came out in 2002. Richard Morgan wrote it. It's a cyberpunk book. Altered Carbon is set in the 25th century when the human mind has been digitized and the soul is transferable from one body to the next. Takeshi Kovacs, played by Kinnaman, a former elite interstellar warrior known as the Envoy, who has been in prison for 500 years, is downloaded into the future he'd try to stop. If he can solve a single murder in a world where technology has made death nearly obsolete, he'll get a chance at a new life on Earth.
I'm down for this.
It sounds pretty cool. Do you know what? I do think we talked about this once, and the only reason why I think we talked about it is I vaguely remember talking about the name Takeshi Kovacs and saying, "Oh, that's weird that he's got a Japanese name."
See, that's the thing. Until you everything else about that, I was like, I don't remember this at all. And then you said that name.
Yeah, that's the.
I went, that's a weird name for this guy. And
That's,
then I was like,
yeah,
deja vu.
yeah, yeah. So Lemon, who's the story was really about, Kristen Lemon, she's going to play Miriam Bancroft, the wife of a wealthy over 500-year-old Lawrence Bancroft, who's a Purefoy, that's who he's playing, who is not just the striking, beautiful trophy wife she appears to be. Miriam, having lived for 250 years, will do anything, including playing to people's desires, in order to survive another 1,000 years. So that's her character. But this is interesting. I like the sound of it. And Netflix, of course, has a very high production value.
Does. I mean, have they done much sci-fi TV yet? Other than what's coming up in the next...
Well, Stranger Things would count us, but...
Yeah, I suppose.
But in terms of...
And like this, where it's like, space and...
Yeah, set in the future and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I am down. This will be priority binge viewing the weekend it comes out.
It probably will.
Probably late next year, I imagine, given where they are in the process.
That sounds about right. I can see it being next November, actually.
Yeah. So there you go. That's that. So yeah, I told you, I warned Connor before the news that it was a long news episode, but a lot of it was quite interesting. So that was interesting. Obviously the stuff at the start that was interesting. I also think this is interesting. Fox is developing a show called The Building, which is a drama series, and it's coming from Neil Gaiman. He's involved in this.
Okay, now I'm interested.
Yeah, it's based on a digital film called Parallels, which has actually already been fairly successful on Netflix. So it's actually based on something kind of recent. But here's the synopsis for you. The building involves a large skyscraper that moves between alternate realities, and a group of young urban explorers who are in the building and suddenly find themselves on an Earth wherein Reagan was not elected and Russia dropped the bomb. They then figure out that they have a limited amount of time to figure out where they are and rescue members of their team before the building shifts again to another reality. They soon realise that this Earth is also different from where they started, and getting back may be impossible. The series will also explore the origin of the building, who built it and why, what happens on each floor and how, and if at all possible, do they ever get back to their original Earth.
Okay, this sounds pretty fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
I was going to say, the idea of this, like the universe hopping thing, it reminds me a lot of the comic, what's it called, from Remender? Black something.
Black Science?
Yes. Yeah, that one. Where it reminds me a lot of that, where they're, they go universe hopping, but they're not in control necessarily.
I don't know. I like it. It definitely plays to my interests.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I was kind of interested when you said Gaiman, because that will grab my attention, and then you started with alternate reality jumping building. I was like, okay, now I'm listening.
Also,
and then as it went on, it just kind of sounded really good.
Also, I love the idea of urban explorers. Like, what does that mean? Does it just mean like a ragtag group of like randomers who got stuck together because they just
it's all parkour knobheads, isn't it?
I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what that means.
I have no idea.
I'd have to imagine at least one of them might be kind of a scientist, just to try and so that someone's there to try and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But it sounds cool. I'm down for that. So that's Fox that are developing that. Should be cool.
So it probably won't survive past the season then.
To be fair, Fox have kind of gotten away from that reputation.
Wasn't the one with Carl Urban then, like 2 years ago?
That was like 3 years ago now.
3? Jesus, okay.
Yeah, time's gone. And even then, though, like, you couldn't blame them too much for that one, because it was kind of... it was already kind of... It wasn't doing that well in the ratings.
Yeah, all right.
All I'll say is we're a long way away from the Firefly days, and...
Okay, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. They're not going to do that. They're not going to intentionally air it out of order, right?
Hopefully. Hopefully. But yeah, I mean, they're doing well with The Exorcist. We're enjoying Pitch. Scream Queens is great. Yeah, Fox have got a lot of things on right now that we like.
So I forgot all 3 of those were Fox.
There you go.
So yeah, I take it back.
There you go.
That said, none of them are sci-fi, are they? So it's sci-fi that has this particular bad reputation with them.
True. But hopefully that'll work out, and maybe this is something we'll get next fall season.
Mm.
But hey, So next up, NBC are working again with the creators of Grimm, which of course is one of their fairly successful shows, and it's called Treasure. It's an action-adventure mystery involving a group of grad students in Washington, D.C. who accidentally uncover a 40-year-old secret, which leads them on a wild ride through real history as they attempt to unravel an unsolved murder, find hidden blood money, and avoid being killed by an assassin from the past.
I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed it wasn't to do with pirates.
I don't really like pirates that much, so I'm cool with this.
That said, sounds alright.
It does sound. It sounds like a. It sounds kind of Tomb Raider-esque almost, where they're finding like things and like, things from the past are cropping up and they're trying to solve this mystery. Because I think you could incorrectly read that as time travel, and I don't think it is. I don't think that's what they're getting at. I think.
No, I didn't get that either. I got the idea that they're in the present and these things have a knock-on effect.
Yeah. That sounds okay. I don't know. Like, I never watched Grimm, so I have no idea what the quality was like on that.
I didn't either.
But that sounds decent enough.
It's a decent idea, which is, typically a good start.
But hey, shifting over to the CW, they're looking at adapting another comic book, although it's not a DC comic book, so...
Okay, a little bit of a change.
Yeah, it's a Valiant comic book of all things. Dr. Mirage, which I'd never heard of.
I have.
You've heard of it. Are you familiar with it?
Vaguely, in the sense that I've seen a few issues, I've flicked through one once or twice.
Well, it centres on a female paranormal investigator who can communicate with dead souls except the one that she wants to the most, the love of her life.
Sounds about right. It's fitting perfectly on the CW.
It does fit in perfectly. It sounds very, Ghost Whispery kind of...
Do you know what it is? It sounds like when Riverdale tanks, they'll throw this on after Supernatural instead.
You're making some assumptions.
I am. I'm just saying this feels like their backup plan.
Yeah, I can see that. But that sounds okay. Like, yeah, again, it kind of just depends on quality. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds like an okay idea. All right, let's go over to SyFy. They're developing something.
I'm suddenly more interested in this than I would have been a few months ago.
Yeah, it's called Stranger in a Strange Land.
Okay.
And it is based on the classic novel, Robert Heinlein. Sorry, I lost the name of the author there in the article.
So classic, you forgot it.
Yeah. Well, it's classic, and it's classic,
classical literature.
Yeah, it's from 1961. So it's a big book. But it's called Stranger in a Strange Land from 1961. And it tells the story of Valentine Michael Smith, a human born on Mars who comes to Earth in an early adulthood and eventually transforms its culture.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down for this. Sounds good. Do you know what? There's so much science fiction TV getting thrown at us. Right? Like, how many shows in the last 10 minutes have I read to you that are all sci-fi related?
I know, it is crazy.
And I love it, because it's my favourite genre. So yeah.
They're making up for this lull we had maybe 5-6 years ago where there was just nothing.
Yeah, there was nothing for a long time. Yeah, I'm down for it. And you know what? SyFy have really been upping their game recently with their production value, with their quality output. You don't just assume that a sci-fi show feels, cheap and forgettable.
Canadian.
And Canadian, yeah.
I don't mean that insulting to Canadian. I just mean it feels like a lot of, cheap Canadian TV for a lot of it.
That said, even a lot of shows we like on all networks are filmed in Canada, and they don't feel like cheap Canadian TV.
No, there's difference though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like there's filmed in Canada and there's actual Canadian TV.
Apologies to Canadians everywhere.
I mean, just look this week we got the early preview of Incorporated, and that looked stunning.
Yeah. So no, that's good. All right, moving on to something a little bit weirder. This doesn't have a network as of yet, and it says we probably won't get it till 2018, so it's a little bit away.
All right, so I'll forget about it 6 times before this actually
probably
matters.
But Chinese actress producer Liu Zhang.
I'm not even going to comment.
I don't know. This one's.
How's it spelled?
It's XIAO. Oh, that's a Q. Oh no, I'll retry that now that I know that's a Q. Oh, it's a Q with no U after it. My God, that's weird. Sorry, the reason why I didn't get it was a Q is because I had the little red line under it to say it was not spelled. So I just took that away, and I'm like, oh, it's a Q. I thought it was a G. But yeah. So Lou Zeo, yeah, that sounds a bit better actually. Zeo Quinn. Yeah. Zeo
Sounds
King.
more
Yeah.
respectable than,
Yeah.
than whatever came out of your mouth before.
To be fair though, it was a weird thing where it had like a G and then it was ing after it. It's weird. Anyway, apologies to this woman. I do apologise. I really do. But she is going to start and co-produce an Empress, which is going to be a US TV show about the 7th and 8th century Empress Wu Zetian. And the notable thing about this is that this actress has played this character multiple times in China, in several TV shows and in plays. And this is her bringing it to the US, and she wants to. Wu Zetian was the only empress in China's 4,000-year history and ruled during 2 decades of the Zhou dynasty. Liu will join forces with the Game of Thrones executive producer Christopher Newman, Starlight Media, and K-Jam, and CEO of K-Jam Media. So that's what's. And they're talking about it coming in late 2018, and they don't have a network yet. One of the key points that I also picked out was that there's a couple of elements that they had to shy away from in China. They didn't feel comfortable putting on Chinese TV, namely that she had that the Empress had a thirst for sex and killing, and they had to shy away from that on their versions. So
it makes sense.
Yeah, so they're looking forward to
being a bit more open with it over here.
A bit more open and accurate. Apparently she killed all the ministers who didn't agree with her.
I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm the ruler of a full nation, if I'm like an emperor, like that level, not like you're not elected, you're the ruler.
Yeah.
Kill him. Go for it.
Yeah. It sounds interesting enough. It's definitely something different.
I'm agree. I do hope this is on like something with high production value.
Yeah, it sounds like something that should be on like a HBO or a Netflix
FX, maybe.
Maybe FX. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it needs a budget to not feel goofy, I think.
Yeah, it needs to look slick and not feel cheap, essentially.
Yeah. So, here's hoping. And before we move on, I want to once again apologise to the actress for that butchering of her name. Yeah, I do apologise. Anyway, let's move on. BBC America has ordered an 8-episode drama called Killing Eve. And it's coming in 2018. We're starting to hear about 2018 things now. This is kind of weird.
Seems early, doesn't it?
It does seem early. But then again, it's late 2016, It won't be that long till it's next year.
It's true. It's only like, 15 months till some of these could be airing.
Yeah. So it's a thriller. And Killing Eve is based on Villanelle, which is a novella series by Luke Jennings. So it's another based on a book type of situation here. Eve is a bored, whip-smart, pay-grade security services operative who fantasises about being a spy while working a desk job. Villanelle is an elegant, talented killer who clings to the luxuries of her violent job offers her. And the series topples the typical spy action thriller as the two women, increasingly obsessed with each other, begin a large-scale game of cat and mouse.
Sounds kind of fun.
It does sound kind of fun. I like the idea you've got like a security operative who just stuck working at a desk but has these flights of fancies and then targets this, this assassin and starts chasing her around. It does sound kind of fun. Again, I think a lot of it will be down to quality of the filmmaking, the acting, that kind of thing, but it has potential. And it sounds like an 8-episode closed off show.
Yeah, it's interesting to see maybe BBC America taking some influence from the regular BBC in that aspect of, let's just keep it short, throw some money at it.
You say that, but I feel like I'm seeing a lot more American networks do that now.
That's true.
They're definitely not the first ones in the recent time.
No, of course not.
AMC and BBC Worldwide North America. I don't want to criticise BBC for naming its divisions, but BBC Worldwide North America does not roll off the tongue and doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No,
but they are co-producing a show called Mick Mafia, which makes me question, are they loving it? And are McDonald's already trying to sue them? But yeah, it's a crime show, of course. It's an international drama. It stars James Norton as Alex, the British-raised son of a Russian exile who has spent his life trying to crawl out from the shadow of his family's mafia past. He's built a life for himself that includes his own business and a British girlfriend, played by Juliet Rylance. A life upended by the sudden murderous return of that mafia past. Alex will find himself immersed in a world of corruption, stretching from London to Mumbai to Moscow and everywhere in between. I'm not so hot in this one.
Sounds a little convoluted.
A little convoluted, but I think the ending makes it convoluted. But to be honest, the whole idea of his being drawn into his family's mafia past sounds a lot like The Godfather. And I feel like we've already had The Godfather, and it's like a masterpiece, and I don't really want to see another take on it, you know?
I mean, my hope here is that it is just the synopsis being a bit vague, and it's actually not really that similar at all.
Yeah, it could be a lot more intricate, of course, but just based on like the start of that, it sounds.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Sounds like British Godfather, and I don't really feel like I want to see British Godfather, so.
Unless it's phenomenal.
Or Russian Godfather, like, technically, I guess. But yeah.
Oh man, they could have fun with that. Yeah, like the idea, like the British versus Russia. I don't know.
Anyway, let's go over to Fox. We're getting to the lesser interesting things now. Fox is developing a legal drama.
Okay, I don't care.
It's called Hawk. And Hawk is described as a law show with a twist. Of course it has a twist.
Why are you still talking? It's a law show.
Hawk is described as a law show with a twist. It centres on Johnny Hawk Jr.,
Unless he's a bird, I don't care.
a con man with special skills who tries to reconcile his criminal past when he becomes the in-house legal investigator for the glossy LA firm he almost took down.
I was really hoping he was a giant hawk. But like an anthropomorphized hawk. That would have been amazing. That I'd have watched.
Personally, I was hoping for a TV reboot of the film Hudson Hawk starring Bruce Willis, but
We clearly have very different life goals.
oh well. Let's move on to. Obviously, we don't care. We don't. We're not interested. So let's move on to another show. This is coming from NBC. It is untitled, so we have some fun in a minute. Morena Baccarin is going to star in it, and she's also attached as a producer. They also mention that if this comes to series, she will still be a recurring guest on Gotham, which is also an NBC show. But if this does not get greenlit, then she will just stay a regular on Gotham. So she's got a job either way, so she's quite happy.
Yeah, and I don't care either way, because Gotham.
Gotham, and I'm not sure you're going to let us into this one either, personally. But I'm glad she's getting paid, because of course she's an Ara from Firefly, and I like to see the cast of Firefly doing well for themselves.
Of course.
But this is going to follow a former police officer turned high-powered attorney, played by Baccarin. It also mentions that the character's name is also Marina. Like, they've actually just gave her real name, so that's cool.
Is it cool or lazy?
It depends. Anyway, she navigates the ever-changing landscape of the New York City politics, law enforcement, and the justice system, while juggling the complicated personal life that she has. So, it sounds generic as absolute all hell.
I don't even care enough to try and give this a title. I'm not sure I could. They haven't given me anything unique about it to make me give it a title.
Yeah, that was my thing, because obviously I get all the news, I collect the news, I see these untitled things, I try and think of a title there and then, because my mind just goes there. This one? They give me nothing.
But there was literally nothing to go off to make a title.
I'm trying to think of something because she's a cop that becomes a lawyer, but even then, like...
Exactly, that still feels really generic anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Lawyer's badge? I don't know, this is awful. Right, that's...
No, let's move on.
It's terrible, let's move on. But yeah, that's a thing in development, if you so care about it. And finally, the last news item on this week's news. On this week's news, Fox are developing a TV show called The Cut. I'm curious, Connor, before I tell you what it is, what do you think The Cut is about?
Right. So I'm going to assume it's not about a serial killer. I'm just going to rule that one out. As cool as that would be, it's not.
I want to see how close you get.
Well, let's say you make the cut. You got to be good at something. Does it play off something to do with that?
You're on the right line, yes.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know which direction to go with it. Just
All right. Well, it's coming from McGee's production company. I don't know if he's actually personally involved with it though, so you don't have to write it off just yet.
okay.
That said, I don't know if you'll like the sound of it, but The Cut is described as Friday Night Lights meets Centre Stage. It is an aspirational ensemble drama set at the Manhattan School of Dance, the most renowned dance conservatory in New York City. At the centre is Anthony, a subway performer desperate to break free from his crime-ridden roots, who seizes the opportunity to join some of the most elite dance students in the world. With the support of an equally talented faculty, these dancers will search for identity, fall in love, and compete to become the best of the best, all while avoiding, in all capitals, The Cut.
Where to begin?
Oh my god, I love the all capitals The Cut at the end of that.
I mean, I was almost okay with that until I got to the words like crime-ridden past.
Yeah, I wasn't hot on
And then
that.
I was like, okay, not great. And then it went really into detail about these dancers. And I was like, I don't care about this.
That said, though, like, they might have just put too much in here. For all we know, like it could just be basic setup for the characters. But once they're in the school, it's basically like a
Teenage drama.
just a teenage early 20-something drama that plays it like a sports show, except that the sport happens to be dance.
I'd be fine with that. It's just the way it kind of went into it in that last sentence or so kind of went, nope, no thanks.
Don't get me wrong, I am more terrified of it just being like a crappy, like, I don't know, what are those movies called? Step Up? Step Up to the Streets?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the ones.
Yeah, I remember the title of the second one because they have a bit of a pun because it's Step Up to the Streets.
It's one of those rare occasions where the two,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
And this all comes back to one of the biggest missed opportunities in cinematic history happened in the last few years, when Taken 2 did not have a pun in its title. Seriously, you could have called it Taken 2 The Max. It rates itself. It rates itself.
It does, like... And then they went and did that stupid one with Taken 3. To Threeken, or what was it? Take-Thren.
And
I don't know, whatever, it was awful.
I am still of the opinion that there should be a fourth movie, because I have a title ready for it.
Go on.
So, the daughter keeps getting taken, right?
Yeah.
You know? I've not actually seen 2 and 3, so it may be like the wife that gets taken in the second one, but whatever, right? Family members keep getting taken, right? Liam Neeson's family members keep getting taken. So the title for the fourth one, when they get taken again, Taken 4, Granted.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Rates
Not
itself.
bad at all. It does. Man, I think we spend more of this show doing stupid names than anything else.
After 4, I don't know what to do.
No, because it stops being like words and just becomes numbers then.
Yeah, I mean...
Because like 2 and 4 are words.
Yeah. You can probably do something with some of them. Like, taking, like, 8. You can do something with 8, surely. Cause
8's a word, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
Taken at 8.
You could do that with any of them, though.
You could, yeah.
Realistically. Yeah. You could just build sentences out of it, like, taken 5 times to finally catch these bad guys. I don't know. I don't know.
I think, why are we even on Taken?
I don't know, because we decided it was more interesting than talking about this dancing show.
And Taken, well, a pretty decent movie. The franchise as a whole isn't really... That impressive.
2 and 3 have been like driven through the mud. Like I've not seen them, but I've heard nothing but bad things.
I'll stick up for the first one. You know,
That's alright. Yeah, it's a decent action movie. It's not amazing, but it's solid enough.
Is that TV show still coming?
It's coming in January. We'll be watching the first
balls.
episode. Don't you worry. It may actually be February, but
I bet I'll be on a bloody Tuesday.
I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure we checked. I'm pretty sure we were like, no, we're checking this. Anyway, guys, we have rambled for a whole hour on this news episode. Connor's fact checking this Tuesday, taking nonsense.
It's on a Monday.
There you go.
I'm safe.
That has been this week's TV news, guys. Let us know what you think of any of the news stories on this week's show. If you have somehow made it through the entire hour of madness that this has been, with me butchering names and descriptions and Connor just generally being awful. So, thank you very much, guys. We always appreciate it. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz, like and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, we reviewed a couple of new shows this week. Good Behaviour started, so you can see the review for that. We also reviewed the early pilot for Incorporated, which is coming on SyFy in a few weeks, but they streamed the first episode early, so we've got a review up for that too. So those are both up on the channel, as well as all the other stuff we have.
Have we got anything coming in the next week or so?
We do, actually. We have... Well, actually, no, it's not next week, it's the week after. No, it's next week. Next week's Thanksgiving week, right?
Yeah.
Alright, we have two things...
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah. We have two things coming next week then. So, we have Search Party, which is a TBS show which they're binging through. They're doing 2 episodes a night. So we're committing to the first 2 on Monday. And we're going to review those. And if we enjoy it, we'll do the whole set of 10 throughout the week. And the other show that's starting next week is a Netflix show, which is another binge starting on Friday, and that's 3%, which is a new Brazilian science fiction dystopian series. It's going to be 8 episodes. And again, committed to the first episode, we'll definitely do that. And if we like it, we will do the whole season over the weekend or so, next weekend. So look forward to those. Those are things that are happening. So yeah, that's next week. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've somehow made it, we'll see you next time.